Today's Friday, November 19th, and here's today's top news. Today, the jury in the Kyle Rittenhouse murder case uh, announced a not guilty count on all 5 charges. This means that the jury believes that Rittenhouse himself, uh, when he had that AR-15, he was using self-defense when he was using that and killed 3 people. The first was Joseph Baum, and the other 2 were unclear. This is from the protests in Kenosha, Wisconsin, after there was protests over the shooting of Jacob Blake. Rittenhouse was emotional when it was announced that he was not guilty. The jury did deliberate for 3 full days, and today, after 2 hours of deliberation, they finally had a final decision. Rittenhouse could have been facing a life sentence in prison with the most serious charge. However, now he can walk free with that charge, or with that verdict today. There are many people still discussing the case about Rittenhouse, about if he was the victim or if he is a vigilante of some kind. So in the news of this as well, there are many people many people outside the courthouse. Some of them were holding signs of support. Some of them were protesting the verdict. There are about 500 National Guard ready to be there on standby in case there were widespread protests. The Pfizer vaccine shot and Moderna vaccine shot both had a approval for a 3rd booster for all adults. Originally, it was only approved for 65 and older, or for other types of preconditions that would prevent you from, or that would hurt you if you got COVID. However, now it's all ages 18 or older are able to get the 3rd booster shot. You must be at least 6 months since your 2nd shot, then you can get that booster shot. The few researches said that of people who got the booster shot said that there was a serious reduced risk in getting COVID-19. Over 32 million people have already gotten a 3rd booster shot already. And in other news today, Vice President Kamala Harris became the first woman in history to assume presidential power. This is temporary, as Joseph Biden was put under for a colonoscopy. Kamala Harris was in the White House today as Joe Biden was at Walter Reed Medical Center. On Thursday, the governor of Oklahoma, who's a Republican, announced that there would be no execution of a man named Julius Jones. He stopped that with a few hours left from getting a lethal injection. He stopped that. The governor said they were going to move the deadline down to a life, or they're going to move his punishment from a death sentence to a life in prison. When that was announced, people were celebrating outside the prison in Oklahoma as well as the state building. And in the past, in 2002, Jones and another man named Christopher Jordan, they were both judged guilty for the murder of a man who was 45 years old. He was a father named Paul Howell. And at that time, Paul had parked his car at his parents' house, and he was shot as he was parking his car. Howell had a sister and 2 daughters that saw the whole thing happen. Jones said that he was not the murderer, and he was at home when that shooting occurred. The man Jordan, who was one of the men sentenced, did testify against Jones. However, now people are questioning his testimony, if it was really truthful or not. There are some people saying that this was a frame job on Jones, and since then there have been a few politicians and political activists who have announced their support of Jones. Howell and his family now understands the Oklahoma governor, and they had a tough decision to make with this case. The family said they feel satisfied knowing that Jones will be behind bars moving forward. The country of Austria announced a new national lockdown and stay-at-home order starting this Monday. And that will continue for 10 days as people have become concerned with the high number of new COVID cases that are starting to spread throughout the country. Businesses that are non-essential will be closed for those 10 days as people stay home. And they're going to stay home until, and they can only go out to go visit medical facilities or buy food. They said if they don't follow that order, there will be fines. Austria has one of the lowest vaccination rates in Western Europe, and hospitals in some areas are almost full with capacity of COVID cases. They said that they will have a national demand for vaccinations going forward on February 1st. In the House of Representatives, the Democrats passed 2 bills. One is called the Build Back Better Act, and that's to help American people with healthcare, education, and climate change. That bill's goal is to give free schooling to ages in pre-K, and they also want to expand Medicare benefits. And they also want to help with healthcare costs. They also want to help with affordable housing, public transit systems, and there's about $550 billion that's going to go towards fighting climate change. The Democrats' plan is to tax both the American people and large businesses. Large businesses for a long time have had no income or state tax, and they're going to help pay for some of the things in this bill. So now this bill is going to go to the Senate. Politico said that there'll be at least 2 weeks in between now and when the Senate votes on it. And they will start to look around and see what that bill looks more like for the Senate, and if there needs to be any adjustments or alterations. It needs help support from all 50 Democrats if it's going to pass. So that's all the news for this week. Thank you all for watching the Daily Moth, and I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you next Monday, and stay with the light.